Hello everybody, welcome back to episode 3 of Cooking with Foster. Today I've got a super easy and should be relatively quick recipe for you guys because it only uses these 6 ingredients. Technically there's 2 bags of these, but 6 total ingredients that we're using here. And I am making some tortellini pesto with some chicken to go with it as well. And then just to get some extra nutrients in there, I'm gonna put some spinach, some tomatoes, and of course gotta have some cheese as well. So the great thing about this recipe is it's very little chopping that you have to do, very little actual cooking that you're going to have to do today. Tortellini cooks relatively quick. Just gotta heat up the sauce, chicken, and my veggies all together, and that's all we gotta do. So I will get all situated here, and I'll see you when we get started. Alright, so I got my things all opened up. I got my bowl here, which I'm going to put the spinach, chicken, and tomatoes in once they're all chopped. The chicken's already like bite-sized pieces because I just bought the pre-pulled rotisserie chicken from Sam's. So I'm gonna chop my spinach, chop my tomatoes, and in this pot back over here, I've got in some water, some salt, and some olive oil. I'm gonna bring that up to a boil now for when we get our pasta going. So let's get started on the chopping. Hope that you all have been doing well since those first 2 episodes came out. I just wanted to say thank you for all of your support on those episodes. It meant a lot, and I got a lot of good feedback for what I can fix, what I can do better with. As you can see, I've learned to back my camera up because I was cutting the top of my head off. Need to sharpen this knife more. Like I said from the start, there's going to be growing pains with this channel, just like there's growing pains if you're cooking for the first time. There we go, that's better. So for the tomatoes, I am just cutting them in half. They're just grape or cherry tomatoes, whatever you want to call them. Just cutting them in half to make them more bite-sized. Realistically, these are bite-sized. When I was a little kid, my grandma had these in her garden, and I would just pick them off the vine and eat them as much as I could whenever they were ready. They were one of my favorite foods when I was little, and they're still one of my favorite foods to this day. She had these tomatoes and regular, like on the vine tomatoes, and I would just eat those like apples. Wash them with the hose in the backyard and then bite into it like an apple. Tomatoes have always been one of my favorites. But as I said, with this recipe, it's very bog standard and simple. You can add things or make changes as you would like, but it's only got 6 ingredients. These tomatoes, the spinach, the chicken, the tortellini, the cheese, and then the pesto. So it's a great quick throw together recipe if you're short on time or just don't feel like cooking all that much on a weekend or weekday. You could probably buy crushed tomatoes, and that would also work just as well as this. And to make life easier for chopping, you could use a food processor for the spinach. I wouldn't recommend it for the tomatoes because you might get more of a puree, but when you're cutting the spinach up and you want to get it fine, you could totally use a food processor for that. I'm just not going to do that for today because I don't want to blow out all of your eardrums with the food processor. Because I've noticed on the first 2 videos, there were a couple points when I was doing things when the audio was getting a little peaky, but not too terrible. Ooh, this one still has a stem on it, trying to get me. A couple of you did let me know in the comments of the last 2 videos that you tried some of the recipes I made, and they turned out great, which is lovely to hear. I enjoyed both of them last week, and hopefully these next couple recipes I got going for you, you'll enjoy as well. Some of these tomatoes are a little questionable, so I'm not going to use all of them. And I don't think I need all of them for this anyways. So do a couple more here and then call it good. So now that all of our tomatoes are chopped, or all the tomatoes that we're going to use at least, sayonara to the rest of those. And then for the spinach, you can chop it really fine. You can use a food processor. Because I'm going to cook it down in with the pesto, I'm just going to like rip it apart like that. So grab a handful and then just start ripping it into the bowl, caveman style. And the spinach is already washed, and I washed the tomatoes beforehand, so don't worry, not being nasty. And this bag is 10 ounces. I think it was the smallest one I could find. Obviously, if you're doing a smaller portion, you don't have to use the whole bag, but it dissolves pretty well into the pesto and sauce, so I'm just going to do the whole bag here. Once again, with the spinach, just like the tomatoes, you see any gross pieces you don't want to leave in, definitely throw those away. Get any extra remnants that fell out there into the trash with that. And then gonna add our chicken to this bowl, or brick of chicken. And just like with that burrito bowl mix from last week's episode, get that chicken garbage out of your house ASAP, otherwise it will not smell good. Had some juice leak on the counter here, so just giving that a quick wipe up. Yes, now that we've got our bowl with our chicken, spinach, and tomatoes, I'm gonna put our pesto into this as well, and then mix all that up. Our water's still got a bit of ways to go before it starts boiling, so we are in no rush. This is just the Sam's Club Members Mark pesto, basil pesto. Into here with the whole jar. Pesto is much stronger than regular pasta sauce if you've never worked with it before, so because I'm doing 2 batches of noodles here, that's why I'm using the whole jar. Normally, you won't need the whole jar just for one recipe. I should say just for one batch. So let's get a spoon now. One of the many things that me and Soundgarden have in common is I'm also called the Spoon Man. So we'll break up our chicken brick. And then stir in my spinach and tomatoes with it. Keep having pesto fly at my fingers. Guess there's worse problems to have. Alright, so now that this is fairly well combined, you can see the spinach, or the pesto's coated the spinach, the chicken, the tomatoes pretty well. I'm gonna take this over to my skillet next to my pot, and we're gonna get it going in there, and then I will come back to you guys once it's coagulated all in there, and then my pasta is ready to go in when the water's boiling. So I'll see y'all in just a few minutes. All right, so it's been about 10 minutes. I've had the sauce veggie combo on medium with the lid on, stirring every few minutes or so. The spinach has gotten cooked down and it released its water, so I'm gonna leave this with the lid off now while we do our pasta. Let me come show you what it looks like. So, it's all wilted down a bit. Tomatoes are in there as well. So, leave that with lid off. Since my water is boiling, I'm gonna put in my tortellini now. Tortellini is 3 minutes once your water's boiling, so add it in here. Be careful when you're dumping these in because there will be splashbacks, so be careful of the boiling water. Alright, so 3 minutes from now, I will check that. You don't need to stir it while it's cooking, it will separate itself, but I do have a totally normal sized pasta strainer spoon here, just in case. But while that's going, I'm going to keep stirring my sauce mix. And if it does look too loose for your sauce, that's okay. It will thicken back up as it sits through the week since you're meal prepping this. And also once we add our cheese in at the end, that'll also help to congeal it all together. Pesto by nature has more oil, I believe, than tomato sauces do, so it's gonna be a little oilier, but it'll be okay. It'll get fixed as we go on. And for the tortellini, mine are spinach and cheese. But I saw also like some meat ones, some just cheese ones. I like the spinach and cheese because it has more veggies and you can't really taste the spinach ones. But it's your own personal preference. You could also do this with ravioli and get the same result, whatever your preference is. Alright. I believe it has been 3 minutes, almost. Another minute or so. Just pushing some of the tortellini down that were sitting on top to try and get a rotation in. Let's get a fork to try one. Why is there a small fork in the big fork drawer? Get one of the spinach ones. Yep, those are good to go. So I will transfer them over to a strainer. And once I pour them out into the strainer, after I get the water off, I'm gonna put them back into that pot because I'm gonna use that pot to mix it with the sauce and all that. So I'm gonna turn both of these off, the noodles and my sauce mixture. Dump my noodles. If you're planning on just putting these straight in the fridge as well, you can spray your noodles down with cold water to help cool them down quick. Just make sure you shake off that excess water that you just added. Alright, so back into my pot with my noodles I go. And if some of them break, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. Now into this pot, I'm gonna put my sauce mix in there as well. Out. First, I'm gonna put my oven gloves on because the handles for my pot are hot, whether I like it or not. Add that sauce mix into there. And it's okay if you don't get all of it. So now, let's stir this all together here. This pot's hot as well. And I'm not going to forget the cheese, like I did with the first pasta recipe. So before I do, let me get that and bring that over here. It's just an Italian cheese mix. You can just use regular mozzarella as well. I just really like this mix for Italian dishes. It's mozzarella, provolone, romano, parmesan, fontina, and asiago. It's the full Italian cheese royalty line. So you can add as much or as little as you want. I don't think I'm going to use the whole bag, but we'll see how we're looking after this initial dumpage. I'm gonna go with a little more cheese, because why not? I like to party. Ooh, that was a little more than a little more cheese, but it's fine. I will sacrifice the body. Alright, so I'm going to move this over to the plating area, and I'll see you all to get it loaded up. Alright, so here we are at the final step, plating. I think in total, this whole process took me maybe 45 minutes, probably closer to half hour, so really quick and easy meal. We're gonna get them plated up here. As per usual, I'm going for 6 servings worth here. And just like all the other dishes, it's not going to be the prettiest looking, but it will taste good. So that's all that really matters. I'm not trying to win any presentation points on Chopped here with these dishes. Ooh, that was impressive. I don't know if the camera caught that. I think it might have been hidden behind the pot, but the chicken fell off the edge of the first one and landed into another one, and nothing got on the counter. That's a win, okay? It was a good, solid victory there. For any sides that you want to pair with this, obviously with Italian, you've got some form of additional bread, like a garlic bread would go well. Caesar salad always goes well on the side of this if you're having it at home. I think I still have some leftover pitas from a Greek concoction I made a couple weeks ago, so I think I'll take those just on the side just to kill them off. Tell you what, it may look like radioactive waste, but it smells good, so that's all that matters. I did use 2 bags of tortellini for this. I don't think it was necessary now looking at how much I have left to scoop, but it's fine. I, once again, will sacrifice the body and eat more tortellini if I have to. Can twist my arm to convince me into that. Plus, I think it said on the bag that each serving of this tortellini, just the tortellini itself, is like 13 grams of protein, so more swolio glacius. Baby gorilla, as my father calls himself. Let's see, what can I add more to? And this would probably taste pretty decent cold as well as warm. So if you're in a rush and don't have time to heat it up, or you don't have access to a microwave wherever you're eating this, be it work or school or whatever, this would be a good dish to take. I'm sweating profusely though as I'm dishing this. I think the high today is supposed to be like 95. So starting that Arizona spring/summer turn where it's not gonna have a low below 80 here in a month or so. which is just, can you even call it a low if it doesn't drop below 80? Like, I get that it's the lowest temperature of the day, but I feel like calling it a low is disingenuous. I feel like it should just be the high and then the medium. A couple more scoops here. Yeah, I definitely did not need both bags of tortellini, but it is what it is, as the kids say. And for cleaning this pot, the one that had the noodles, and then you mix it all together, and definitely gonna wanna let it soak for a while, because some of those pasta juices are gonna get stuck quick. Alright, good to go. So, give you the look at the whole shebang here. So here we have it, all 6 dishes, or days worth all prepped. I'd like to thank you all for watching part 3. I will put the recipe down in both the comments and in the description below, so you can check it out and look for yourself. I'm also currently working on making a website that will hold all my recipes and categorize them by price, cuisine type, and how long it takes for the dish to make. So it may take me a while because I'm still learning like all the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript stuff to make the website, but I'll be sure to keep you all updated with that. Thanks again for watching. Hope you all have a great day.